Please rise as we do every time this year. We have a special guest appearance from local Girl Scouts who will be leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance and will be reading a proclamation regarding National Girl Scout Week. So, Ms. Austin, if you wish.
Please be seated.
Please be seated.
Please be seated. Okay, thank you.
I thought we were supposed to stand when the flag goes by.
Please stand for the presentation of colors. Color Guard, advance. Color bearer, present the colors. The Pledge of Allegiance.
American flag.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
the national anthem.
Oh, say, how we sing, by the dawn's early light, what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose blood stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched, were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, bubbles bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Color Guard, at ease. Assembly, please be seated. The reading of the proclamation.
On behalf of Girl Scouts of Norwalk, I would like to read the proclamation. Whereas the Girl Scouts of the USA was founded by Juliet Gordon Low on March 12, 1912, and whereas Girl Scouts of the USA is the largest voluntary organization for girls in the world, and whereas the Girl Scout movement recognizes that today's girls will be tomorrow's leaders and emphasizes the building of self-confidence, leadership skills, and decision-making ability in the world in which they live, and inspired in them the highest ideals of character, conduct, patriotism, and service. And whereas the Girl Scouts' commitment to help people at all times has provided service to countless charitable organizations and interests in Norwalk, where Girl Scouts strive to make the world a better place. Now, therefore, I do hereby proclaim March 6th through 12th, 2016 as Girl Scout Week in Norwalk, and in doing so, call upon all residents to recognize the important role of Girl Scouting. In witness whereof, I have set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Norwalk to be affixed this 8th day of March 2016. Harry W. Railing, Mayor.
Hey, wait a minute. Hey. How come he's the only one that gets?
Somebody knows Thin Mints are my favorite.
Mother said you always have to share.
Well, you know me, but I will.
No, that would have brought the milk.
The Girl Scout promise. On my honor, I will try to serve God and my country, to help people at all times, and to live by the Girl Scout law. Assembly, please stand.
If I can have one moment before you dismiss the colors. Ms. Austin, I'd like to thank you for, I believe, over 75 years of service to the Girl Scouts.
Thank you.
And if I were Chris Rock and this were the Oscars, I could go out and sell Girl Scout cookies for all of you, but I would encourage everybody in the audience to dig deep. Not only are these good, they're affordable, but they help a wonderful organization, so thank you.
Color guard dismissed. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Please be seated. Clerk, if you would please call the roll and then, or read the announcement and then call the roll.
March 8, 2016, please be advised, this meeting is being taped for video and audio broadcast. Assisted listening devices are available. Mr. Bonifant,
Here.
Mr. Corsella,
Present.
Mr. Hempstead,
Here.
Mr. Kimmel, Mr. Sacchinelli,
Present.
Ms. Melendez,
Here.
Mr. Sarasis,
Here.
Ms. Bowman,
Here.
Mr. Sims,
Present.
Mr. Kites,
Present.
Ms. Maggio,
Present.
Mr. De Palma, Ms. O'Toole Gianderco,
Here.
Mr. Igneri, Mr. Livingston.
Here.
Missing 1, 2, 3. Yes?
4 absent.
Oh, yeah, 4. Okay.
So we have 11 present, 4 absent. We have a quorum. Public participation, clerk.
There's no one on the list.
No one on the list has signed to speak before the council. Is there anybody that wishes to make comments and didn't get a chance to sign up? Seeing none, thank you. Now, the next item is item number 4, resignations and appointments. First, we have 2 resignations. Louis J. Bonsangu, I guess that's how you pronounce it, resigned from the Conservation Commission, and David S. Holler from the Oak Hills Park Authority, 2 resignations. Under appointments, we have the first one, Alex Knopp to the Public Library Board. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
We'll move by Mr. Bonifant.
Yes, and just for the city clerk, I think she said there was 11 people. I think there's 12.
Yeah, there's 12 of us.
You're right, there's 12.
The mayor said there were.
That was my fault.
That was the mayor, yeah.
I only see, okay.
So there's 12 present and 3 minutes. We have a
Ignore.
quorum anyway.
And Sacchinelli, no. Kimmel,
Hey, Kimmel's not
it's
here.
just 3. It's 12.
Kimmel, Igneri, and
You led me astray.
De Palma. We'll announce it. We know. We know I made a mistake. Would you
Mayor.
like me to announce it?
Mayor.
Paper? Okay.
We also skipped the minutes.
Pardon me?
We also
skipped the minutes.
Okay, well, so let's go back to the minutes. Item number 2, regular
Mine
minutes.
on Girl Scout cookies.
I know. I'm going to pass these around. They're distracting me. So open them up and pass them around. Acceptance of the minutes of the regular meeting of February 23rd, 2016. Do I have a motion? Mr. Sims moved. Any corrections, deletions?
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Sacchinelli.
It was brought to my attention, there's a correction on page 9 of the minutes. Underneath, Mr. Sims moved to approve the following appointments. Under that, Leslie Soyland, that's an error. She was not appointed.
Okay? What page was that on? I'm sorry?
9.
Page 9, towards the top. The third set of asterisks.
Any other corrections, deletions, additions? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstention? Mr. Sacchinelli abstains. The minutes are approved. Next item on the agenda is now resignations and appointments. Resignation, I already announced Louis A. Bonsang from the Conservation Commission. Resignation of David S. Holler from the Oak Hills Park Authority. Under appointments, I have Alex Knopp to the Public Library Board. Do I have a motion?
Thought I did, but...
Now, Mr. Bonifant. Moved. Any comments, any discussion?
Yeah, I'll say it, Mr. Mayor.
Yes?
I just want to say I think Mayor Knopp's experience and dedication to Norwalk will be a great asset to the Public Library Board, especially with everything that's going on with them now. That's it.
Okay. Further discussion? Mr. Corsello.
I've known Alex Knopp for probably 30 years, and I'm very familiar with his professional accomplishments as a lawyer, as a professor, his civic service, his public service, as a legislator, as a mayor. And I just didn't realize the magnitude of what he had done until I actually saw it in the resume, 3 pages. I mean, he's been a very busy guy. And my question for him, if he was here, is how did he get to be so good in golf if he was so busy doing it?
Yeah, I know. I ask that question all the time.
But he's obviously good at time management, and I think he'd be very good for the library board.
Thank you. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? So carried. Next item is the appointment of Jalen T. Seed for the Fair Housing Advisory Commission. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Sims?
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, it's an honor to put Jalen forward. Jalen is a lifelong resident of Norwalk. He went through the public school system here in Norwalk. He's my cousin, and he will be a great asset to serve in this capacity. And I just think that it's a great appointment, and I think he's going to serve and do a great job by the residents of Norwalk.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
When I
Mr. Corsello.
When I first started teaching at Norwalk Community College, the department head took me around and showed me the various offices and what was located there. We discussed the syllabus and credits. And then she told me that the most important thing was going to be inside this room, and she introduced me to the faculty assistant, and that was Jalen. And I have to tell you, it was the most important thing she told me that day, because he was a tremendous help to me, as he was to all the faculty, whether it's preparing exams, getting them graded. He was the guy. Anything you needed, you asked him, and he would do it with a smile. If he didn't know how to do it, he would find out, and he'd call you and follow up. I think he's great, and I know a lot of other people do who teach at the college, so glad to see he's coming on board.
Ms. Bowman.
Yeah, and I've known Jalen now for a couple of years, and I found him to be very enthusiastic and motivated, so I think he'll be great on this commission.
Further discussion? I'd also like to say that it's nice to see young people willing to get involved in our community. They're the future of the community. And I guess my wife knew Jalen before I did because she was in the same class at NCC, and they did a role play together, I believe, for an acting class. I don't know if they were really any good, but they might have won an Oscar. So it's really great to see young people getting involved in the community, and I thank not only the young people, but other people who are willing to give their time. I know it's very difficult, very challenging. You don't get much pay, and you spend sometimes an inordinate amount of time going through some of the agendas. So seeing no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Congratulations, Jalen. Next item on the agenda is the appointment of Michael L. Witherspoon as a zoning commission alternate. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Kites.
Yes, I've known Mr. Witherspoon for a short period of time, but in that time, he's impressed me greatly. I know he has a law degree and his resume is very impressive, and he's doing a great job on the Charter Revision Commission, so I'd like to put forward his name for Zoning Commission alternate.
Further discussion? Ms. Bowman?
Yeah, and I've known Michael Witherspoon for a short while now, but he was actually mentioned to me by someone because he is a real estate lawyer, so going on zoning, I think that'll be a great fit, just to add some background, legal background to that commission.
Thank you. Further discussion? Mr. Sims?
Yes, Mayor. Yes, it's an honor to put forth Michael's for the zoning board here, and I think he's a great asset as well. He's very knowledgeable. He does great work, research, and I think he will be a great appointment, a great asset on this commission.
Thank you. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? So carries. Thank you. And last is a reappointment to the Public Library Board of Stanley M. Siegel. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion.
Mr. Sacchinelli makes a motion.
I'd like to nominate Stanley M. Siegel for reappointment to Public Library Board.
Thank you. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? So carries. Thank you. Mr. Siegel is here.
So we can swear in.
If you'd like to come down, Jalen and Mr. Siegel will administer the oath of office right here on the spot, make it official, so you don't have to come back to City Hall anytime soon. Michael,
Anywhere, okay. That's fine.
jump right over it.
Right in front of this.
Will be real nice. Jalen, if you'll raise your right hand, please. You, Jalen T.C., having been appointed to the Fair Housing Advisory Board of the City of Norwalk, do solemnly swear or affirm that you will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of said office according to your best skill and judgment, so help you God, or upon the pains and penalties of perjury.
Thank you.
You'll sign them both and keep one. Come on, Stan. How are you? You, Stanley M. Siegel, having been reappointed to the Public Library Board of Norwalk, of the City of Norwalk, do solemnly swear or affirm that you will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of said office according to your skill and judgment, so help you God, with the pains and penalties of perjury. Congratulations. Thank you for serving the town.
There's two.
Yeah, you can keep one and we'll keep this. You can have that one. You'd rather have this one? Thank you so much. Thanks for serving.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is remarks from the mayor. I was serious about the Girl Scout cookies. They're delicious. If you have an opportunity, please support your local Girl Scouts. They're a wonderful organization who teach young ladies a lot about life and help them grow and develop to their fullest potential. And you can see by Miss Courtney Austin, who has dedicated over 75 years of her life to working with the Girl Scouts and doing a tremendous amount. And I'm sure she's touched the lives of many young girls in the city of Norwalk and elsewhere. So thank you very much. Now that the warmer weather is here, we are back on track with our fitness challenge and Walk With Us. We're walking every morning, every Saturday morning at 8:30. We've pushed it back to give everybody a chance to sleep in a little bit on a Saturday morning. We truly appreciate that. The next walk will be Saturday, March 12th. This coming Saturday, we're going to do the Cranberry Park Trail. We'll meet you at the Picnic Pavilion. We step off right at 8:30, and we wait for no one. So if you want to join us, please do. On Tuesday, March 15th, the third annual Norwalk Lit Crawl will be held from 5:30 to 9 p.m. in the Wall Street area. Volunteers will read classic and contemporary literary works of art by various authors. Among the participating venues are the Bank House, Silk Touch, Fat Cat, Apricot, and Ahi 10. The restaurants will provide free appetizers and a cash bar for all attendees. The event will benefit Norwalk Reads, and I know some of the people on the council will be reading. I will be reading as well, and it's a lot of fun to come out and just hear some of the different literary works. I know they're going to read several of Harper Lee's, or two of Harper Lee's novels and other things. I haven't decided what I'm going to read yet, but it'll be a relief from not having to read so many proclamations. Daylight Saving Times begins Sunday, March 13th, 2016. Please remember to move your clocks 1 hour forward, spring ahead, fall back. Before you go to bed on Saturday night, of course, you will be losing an hour's sleep, so try to get to bed earlier. But you'll make up for it in, I think, November. Yes, you'll make up for it in November.
I need it now.
Pardon me?
It's terrible.
You're struggling already.
5 a.m. comes early.
Go to bed early. Go to bed earlier. And don't forget, we've said it before, and we'll say it again. The first ever St. Patrick's Day Parade by the newly formed Norwalk Emerald Society of Police Officers will kick off at approximately 11 o'clock in the morning on March 17th. St. Patrick's Day from the Norwalk Police Department on Monroe Street, now get this, to O'Neill's Pub on North Main Street. It's going to be a short parade this year. If you want to go to O'Neill's Pub, if you haven't been to O'Neill's on St. Patrick's Day, you're in for a treat. When you go in there, don't think that you're going to be able to move around. You can't move, you'll be like this, it's so packed, and we'll make sure that we have the fire marshal there just to look. Chief? A parade route will be stenciled, by the way, with shamrocks. Why do I struggle with names? Mr. Cemento. Mr. Cemento, I yell at him all day long, and now I can't remember his name. Mr. Cemento has arranged with the Emerald Society to buy this paint. The Emerald Society has bought the paint, and it'll wear off as the cars go over. It's a special water-based paint, I understand. The public is invited to attend this exciting annual parade, or first annual parade, and anybody from the Common Council, you're certainly invited to step off with us. I see Mr. Hempstead already has his green tie on.
You at least have to start a week in advance.
You're starting already. So if anybody wishes to join in the parade, I feel free to. We are dedicating the parade, and we'll be reading a proclamation about Lieutenant Tim Murphy, who was one of the founding fathers, if you will, of the Norwalk Police Emerald Society. And it's unfortunate that he's not here to join in the first parade, but he'll be here with us in spirit. In the absence of the Common Council President, the Council Majority Leader will read the consent calendar and conduct the Council President business. Mr. Kites.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, Mr. Kimmel is unfortunately under the weather, but we hope he has a speedy recovery. I'll keep this short and sweet. I just want to make a couple mentions of a couple birthdays that this council recently had. Ms. O'Toole Jean Durko was last Friday, so happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
And of course, our own Miss Melendez's birthday is this Friday, so happy birthday to you as well.
I think this is this not the third birthday you've celebrated with us?
My what?
The third birthday you've celebrated with
Yeah,
us.
20, 21, and 22.
Yeah.
And according to Ms. Melendez, this is our birthday month. So
This is my birthday month.
She's been telling us about it for weeks.
So if you don't get to celebrate tonight, we are celebrating. We have until the 30th.
When you get my age, you don't count them anymore.
Oh, I will still count them.
So y'all, we're gonna, the recently newly adopted tradition where others read the consent calendar. I believe Mr. Hempstead is up this week. So if you don't mind, Mr. Hempstead.
Oh, and I think it's going to be
That much to read.
Yeah. I think you cheated taking everything off consent.
I don't know if I
Just say it after.
No, I didn't. Well, here's what I understood, and just let me know if this changes. The first item for the consent calendar is item 6.
7A.
I thought we were leaving 6 on.
No, 7A. 7A, and then start with a number.
Oh, 7, that's right, I read back. Sorry. Which is number 6, right? Authorize the mayor, Harry Rilling, to execute an escrow agreement between the City of Norwalk and General Growth Properties, Inc. for the funding of a traffic engineering peer review of the traffic impact study for the Sono Collection Mall project on local roads. General Growth Properties will fund the escrow amount, the amount to be determined by the city necessary to complete a full and thorough review. Item number 7.7. Authorize the mayor, Harry Rilling, to execute professional services agreement with Parsons Brinkhoff in the amount not to exceed $90,000 to provide traffic peer review services to the traffic impact study for the Sono Collection Mall project on local roads, subject to the execution and funding of an escrow account agreement by General Growth Properties, Inc. between the City of Norwalk and General Growth Properties, Inc. Item 7A, authorize the mayor, Harry Rilling, to execute the First Amendment to the July 7, 2015 agreement with Seal Coating, Inc. for project number 2015-3 crack sealing at various locations for a sum not to exceed $300,000. The account number is noted. Item 9A and 9B, authorize Mayor Harry Rilling to execute an agreement with FGB Construction for project number PM 2016-1 pavement management program for a sum not to exceed $3,582,588, with the contingency to that being 9B of $358,258.80. And there are quite a few count numbers that are noted in the record. Item 7B1, authorize them. What's off? Everything's off?
Right, John, nothing changed, it's all off.
I believe, yes.
Oh, it is?
Yes.
Everybody doesn't like those things. Okay. So everything's off?
And this is.
I think everything else is off.
Oh,
Good
okay.
job, Doug.
And item 7C, changed from last night. 7C, Recreation Parks and Cultural Fairs. Motion to table to the following meeting since the contract is not ready.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, that's consent calendar. I moved on to adoption.
Mr.
Bang
Curtis,
up
you have to call the vote. You call the vote.
All right, all in favor of accepting the consent calendar, please signify by raising your hand. Unanimous, great.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yep.
It's all new to me. No? Abstentions?
No, he abstains. Yep.
Let the record show Mr. Saras is abstaining.
Okay, the consent calendar has passed as moved. Now, item 7A1, Ms. Melendez, in the absence of Mr. Igneri.
Okay, so I'm Mr. Igneri today. Unless you're mad at him, then I'm Ms. Melendez. Okay. Item 7A1, accept the freeholders report and approve the discontinuance and abandonment of a portion of Isaac Street beginning at the westernly boundary of the property located at 19 Isaac Street, tax lot number noted, and heading west to the easterly boundary of the property located at 20 Isaac Street, tax lot number noted, as depicted on a map prepared by Redness and Mead entitled Property Survey depicting an abandonment of a portion of Isaac Street prepared for POCO developers, Norwalk, Connecticut, dated November 16th, 2015, at a scale of 1 inch = 40, on file in the Department of Public Works in accordance with Section 7.5 of the Land Disposition and Development Agreement by and between the City of Norwalk, Connecticut, the redevelopment agency of the City of Norwalk, and POCO developers, dated November 14th, 2007.
And you move the item?
move
Do you wish
that
to talk, do you wish to speak on it?
I do not.
Any discussion? The item has been moved. Mr. Bonifant.
Thank you. I just want to say that I do have a problem with this, because to accept the freeholders report, and in the freeholders report, it says, the freeholders recommend that no benefits or damages be assessed as a result of this action. And in a way, that's saying that the freeholders are saying that this isn't worth anything to the city, but I think it is. I think there's a bargaining chip here, because I did a little math, and because if we're abandoning the street, POCO will be able to combine some properties and build an extra 18 units because that we're going to give him free land. He will be getting the opportunity to build 18 extra apartments that wouldn't fit there otherwise. And I just did a short math here. If he gets $1,500 a month times 18 times 12 months in a year, you're looking at $324,000 each year he's getting an extra income because we're giving him something for free. So I got a little problem with that. Thank you.
Further discussion?
Perhaps Mr. Coppola could enlighten us, unless someone else remembers. I wasn't here, but it's my understanding that this council actually previously, when they made the agreement with POCO, agreed that this particular piece of land was going to be given up to them so they could complete the project.
Mr. Coppola?
I believe that's the case. I was thinking the same thing. I was flipping through to see if the agreement was in there, but I believe that it was set forth somewhere in the agreement with the developer, the LDA, that this abandonment would be done and was part of the plan. Furthermore, it's my understanding that the city will retain the right, an easement over the street. I see our DPW director shaking his head in agreement to allow for the continued use of traffic to pass and repass over the street. So I think that's why the freeholders rendered the decision that they did, because quite frankly, it's not going to change the current use, which is as a road. And the developer is not getting any benefit by virtue of actual use of the street, other than potentially the ability to apply for greater density, which was something that was envisioned in the entire LDA throughout the LDA process.
Further discussion? All in favor? Great. Opposed? One opposed. Abstentions? One opposed, Mr. Bonifant. One abstention, Mr. Sarasis. Did I get that right? Item 7A2, Ms. Melendez.
Okay. Item 7A2 authorizes the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute any and all necessary or desired documents in connection with the finalization and discontinuance and release of the city's interest in the discontinued roadway, including a general release to release any interest that the city may have in the property comprising the abandoned portion of Isaac Street beginning at the westerly boundary of the property located at 19 Isaac Street, tax lot number noted, and heading west to the easterly boundary of the property located at 20 Isaac Street, tax lot number noted, as depicted on a map prepared by Redness and Mead entitled Property Survey Depicting an Abandonment of a Portion of Isaac Street, prepared for POCO Developers, Norwalk, Connecticut, dated November 16th, 2015, at a scale of 1 inch equal 40, on file in the Department of Public Works in accordance with Section 7.5 of the Land Disposition and Development Agreement by and between the City of Norwalk, Connecticut, the Redevelopment Agency of the City of Norwalk, and POCO Developers, dated November 14th, 2007. Move this item.
Mr. Melendez moved the item. Do you wish to speak on it?
Mr.?
Pardon me?
You call me Mr. on International
Ms.
Women's
Melendez.
Day.
Do you wish to speak on it?
No, I do not.
Any discussion?
Mr.
Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Same vote as before. Thank you. Ms. Melendez, item number 7A3.
7A3, approve the following resolution. The Common Council of the City of Norwalk supports the efforts of Western Connecticut Council of Governments in applying for a State of Connecticut Regional Performance Incentive Program for a regional snowplow routing study, and hereby authorizes the Mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute any and all documents necessary for the city to enter into an agreement with the State of Connecticut in order to receive and participate in such study. Move this item.
Thank you. Ms. Melendez moved the item. Do you wish to speak on that?
I do not.
Mr. Hempstead.
Yes. And I may have a few questions for the director, if you possibly, but I may not. Look, there's certainly, everybody knows my position with this last term, that I have certainly no love for the state creating this mess they call the Council of Governments. We had a long discussion. We had a lot of changes to how this was drafted and sent on. But I really went through this and trying to figure things up when they're claiming savings. And I'll try to walk through this because I was baffled by how they were saving us money for money that we weren't going to spend in the first place, but they were going to save it because we didn't spend it. So it's a little confusing to me. And I also find it very ironic that one of the first things that they're tackling as a council of government, which the whole idea was to provide services regionally that might benefit of all things, is snow plowing, which maybe you do from 5 to 10 times a year. And that's it, considering all the other regional issues we may have, watersheds, et cetera, et cetera. I just didn't see how this was being an A. But having said that, and part of the rationalization for putting this into service talked about other optimum routes, which could be garbage collection, which is done privately, recycling collection, done privately, leaf pickup, which is done by local, the waste day pickup a couple times a year, which for that, and street sweeping. I went and talked to Mr. Tremento. But they talk mostly about doubling back at borders and all that kind of stuff. And I confirmed this with the director today, that decades ago, there are already certain portions of roads that either half the road is Westport and half the road is Norwalk, et cetera. Those are already agreed upon, who's plowing that road and what road you're turning to, and you're done. Has been going on for 30, 40 years. So as we move through this, they talk about the share equipment. I'm perplexed there. So does that mean that Westport, who is not as big as us, because Westport's the only town that signed on to us that have joined us. Yeah. The other three, Darien, New Canaan, and Wilton, have not signed on to this program. That I don't know if we give up our rights or whatever, but if they say sharing equipment with Westport, who maybe need less equipment than us and can't handle it, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of I don't knows in this. So I guess my first question, I know it seemed to indicate here that you have a monthly meeting of public works directors or something, or quarterly or something?
Yeah, the COG is going to set up the monthly meeting with all the directors in the region to discuss the certain items that will be coming up, I guess, due to this this report, this survey, and also we'll be going over the software that they'll produce in looking at the various snow routes within the town. So.
If I can just add something here, Mr. Instrumento, it's my understanding this is not an agreement to participate in a joint snow removal. This is an agreement to participate in a study to see if a joint snow removal program is something feasible that the cities want to engage in. If the study came back that, it's a good idea, or if it comes back that it's not a good idea for Norwalk, at that time, we have the right to either participate or not participate based on the findings in the study. This is just to authorize a study.
No, I understand that, but the way COGS reads, that I'm not sure whether they can or cannot force us if we join on to this, and it's not clear. That if they adopt the study, and the study comes out saying, you need to do X, do we have to do X?
I'm a member of the COG, and I'm telling you, no, we don't have to do X. We have a right of refusal on anything they do. In fact, on some issues, it needs unanimous decision of all the COG members. If one COG member votes against it, then it's a done deal. I mean, it's dead. So this is just agreeing to allow them to apply for the funds to do a study.
So, in a follow-up to that, and I understand that, Mayor, because we had a lot of discussion on that. But the question becomes too. I saw that only 44% of the towns in COG signed up for this. So that means 64% of 56% did not want to participate. And do you happen to know why the other towns did not want to participate in this by chance?
I do not.
Okay. So we have less than 50%. Okay. By this agreement, COGS owns the licensing agreement on this, and I guess intellectual property, for lack of a better term.
They do. They would own the software, and they could make distribution to the different member towns.
Have they talked about what a maintenance agreement would cost for a yearly sign up for this?
They did not.
All right. But there seems like you get the initial results, but I'm assuming that they are doing a follow-up study to see whether it works or not and all that kind of stuff. So it's not we're not just making a one-year program, correct?
That's correct.
And that's what I was getting at, because when they make assumptions that we're saving $261,237, well, that's the cost of the program. So we don't do the program, we're saving $261,310. The reason they're saying you're saving it, because if they do it, and that's the cost of the program. So they counted it almost 8 times as the total value of what they're saying. They save all these communities up to $2 million. You know, it used to be called fuzzy math in my somebody else's book. Do you know by chance how they made an assumption that we might save $116,000?
I have no idea how they arrived at that number.
Do you know, I'm sorry to put you through this, but it mentions, you know, do we have the right after the initial study, and Mayor indicated that, I understand it, but do we have the right just to pull out of this with no additional maintenance fees?
That's how I see it. There would be no fees to us, and it would be up to your decision on whether you want to move ahead with any of the recommendations or some of the recommendations.
The question, the answer to your question regarding the savings, it's based on economies of scales. If each individual municipality did a snow route study, it would cost a lot more if they did a regional study for all of the municipalities combined.
No, I understand that. I didn't even know NOAA was looking for one. That's what I'm saying. I don't think it's ever been entertained that NOAA do one, mostly over the years. I'm just looking at this, and I'm not going to support it, just FYI, if you haven't figured that out. But I don't see the benefit of this. Look, it's not, you can say, well, it's not your money you're spending, which is correct. It's not the city of Norwalk's money, but it is $230,000 or $240,000 worth of state tax money, which we're all paying sitting at the table for something we never asked for in the first place. It's created this regional government, again, that wants to dip its hand into local, and again, you've got better than 50% of the towns and city, because the city of Danbury is not on this, nor the city of Greenwich. Either one of these are participating as two major centers. Kind of, to me, kind of says it all about this. And what kind of agreement, this procurement agreement, I mean, everything's done by COGS if you went through it. There's no city participation in this, how they procure it, how they maintain it, how they run it. When they say collect data, what are we providing them with data? They said that's going to take 10 months.
They would. I don't know what the 10 months would be, but we would be providing them all of our usages in salt, the hours out that we are plowing, the miles that we plow, and the different entities that we plow, like the schools and the city buildings. And we have all of that information.
Thank you, sir. I'm just going to urge fellow council members not to support this. Thank you.
Thank you. Further discussion? Mr. Bonifant.
Thank you. Mr. Chimento, I was the member of our caucus that went to the Public Works meeting, and when I had to explain it, the item to my fellow council, to my caucus, I realized that I didn't quite understand it as much. The questions were coming just like he's got now, and but to be clear, there's nothing that Norwalk is not paying for this. This is coming from a state kind of a grant.
That is correct.
Right. And but like Mr. Hempstead said, that, you know, they're always looking for that. There's some kind of goal out there in some of these regional conglomerations. They're looking for, in the future, some kind of a tax to participate in another level. And we've been trying to avoid that and making it pretty clear right along the way that we don't want another level of tax in a form of a county government or a regional cog. So we've been pretty consistent about that. I'm trying to figure out what kind of answers are we going to get, like how we can plow our snow better, or how we can trade salt with the other towns or something, or what?
I believe they're going to analyze each and every one of our 26 routes, and they'll look at all the routes and how better we can do them by rearranging maybe some of the routes for us. And I think they're beginning developing a software for that we could use that would allow us to do that on a continuing basis. Okay. And if there is anything intercity or enter town, I don't know that is a real thing or not. We already have an agreement with Westport to do different roads that are either half theirs or half ours. And that's been in effect, I put that in effect in 1975.
Well, I mean, I think we do a pretty good job at plowing our streets because we've been doing it for a while and we've got to figure it out. I mean, I'm trying to figure out what more could we learn, but, you know, somebody else is paying for it through the state, I guess, but it's
That's what I mean.
it's our tax dollars.
Yeah, I don't know how much more we could learn, but there may be something there that we could use.
Okay.
Ms. Bowman?
So it's just, you mentioned the software, it says Westcott can perform updates as needed in the future with funding from participating municipalities. On page 5.
Yes.
So it sounds like eventually it's gonna cost us.
If we decide to utilize any upgrades of the software, I guess that would be so.
Further discussion?
I just have one question.
Mr. Hempstead?
To get back to the basics, did any of the communities that have signed on to this actually ask COGS to initiate this, or is this just a COGS initiation?
As far as I know, as far as we're concerned, COG initiated it.
Thank you.
Ms. Managgio?
I was just curious, who does the route map right now?
We do internally.
Is this going to cost anybody their job, their position, if somebody else is going to be doing this for them?
Heaven forbid, no. No, we have the software, we do our own routes. I just want to see if the routes are more, or it could be made more efficient, but that's internal to us. We still would keep the software, we still would maintain our own routes.
Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion as put forward, please signify by saying aye. 1, 2, okay, raise your hand so we can hold them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Opposed? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Abstained. Yeah, let's do a roll call. Okay.
Yes. Mr. Bonifant?
No.
Mr. Corsello?
No.
Mr. Hempstead?
No.
Mr. Sacchinelli?
Yes.
Ms. Melendez?
Yes.
Mr. Sarasis?
No.
Ms. Bowman?
Abstain.
Mr. Sims?
Yes.
Mr. Kides?
Yes.
Ms. Maggio?
No.
Mr. DePalma's not here. Ms. June Durko?
No?
And Mr. Livingston?
Yes.
Five yes, I have 6 no, 1 abstention.
Who abstained?
Aye.
Oh, Ms. Bowman abstained, okay. Okay, the motion fails, 6 to 5, and 1 abstention. Ms. Melendez?
Item 7A4, forward the following action to the March 8th, 2016 Common Council meeting. Rescind the September 8th, 2015 resolution to install an honorary street name sign, Pastor Sadie Miles Way at 2 Berkeley Street. I move this item.
I'd like to move to suspend the rules to amend the item.
Mr. Livingston?
Yes, I'd like to amend item actually.
Well, we'll suspend the rules first.
Okay.
All in favor of the motion to suspend the rules so this item can be amended?
It's actually items 4 and 5.
I don't think we need to suspend the rules to amend this.
You can amend it.
Well, we want to
As
suspend,
amended?
he wants to suspend the rules to amend it, so we want to vote on authorizing him
And
to do
remove item
that.
5.
Because it's not on the agenda the right way.
Oh,
To remove item 5 and
I got it.
amend.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay. So all in favor of a motion to suspend the rules to deal with items 4 and 5? Okay, that's unanimous. Okay, Mr. Livingston.
Okay, I'd like to remove item 7A5 and then amend item 7A4 as follows. To amend the September 8, 2015 resolution approving the installation of an honorary street sign, Pastor Sadie Miles Way, to provide for the installation of 2 such honorary names signs reading Pastor Sadie Miles Way one at West Avenue and Berkeley Street, and one at Elm Street and Berkeley Street.
Okay, Mr. Livingston has moved those two items to remove item 7A5 and to amend 7A4 as noted. Further discussion, Mr. Hempstead?
Just a question, because 7.4 reads rescind.
Well, that's why he amended it.
Okay, but you didn't take out the word rescind.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Oh, you did? I missed,
Yeah.
okay, I wrote down everything else. Sorry, I missed the rescind part. I thought we were rescinding number 5. That's what I got, so.
I removed.
Removing.
Okay, apologies, just didn't pick it up. Thank you.
Further discussion, Mr. Kites?
I just wanted a little point of clarification, the reason why we're even doing this for those in the audience and maybe those that weren't on the council last year. It was my understanding, the understanding majority, or many on this council that were here last year, that there would be a sign placed at on either end of Berkeley Street, and that wasn't the case. The actual resolution that went through DPW on September 8, 2015 read to Berkeley Street, as we can see. So this, when members of the church, the congregation, have been very vocal, and like I had said, we thought that this would be, there would be a sign placed at either side of the street and not just in their driveway on their property, which to their point, the congregation's point and the church's point, they could have done that themselves. So that's what brings us here tonight.
Mr. Capola?
I think the purpose of clarifying this evening was to make sure that the Department of Public Works knew what to do with regard to the installation of the sign. I just want to confirm that the DPW director is fine with what's been proposed. There's no questions for his department.
Yeah, the plan is to erect 2 honorary signs. One at the corner, it'd be a street level sign on a post at the corner of West Avenue and Berkeley Street. And the same would be a street level sign on a post at Elm and Berkeley Street.
And is the resolution consistent with that plan?
That's what
That's been proposed. Okay, great.
Mr. Bonifant?
Thank you. That was the concern, Mr. Chimento, and I brought that up in the committee too, because currently there is no sign at the corner of Berkeley and West Avenue that's on a pole. There's one gigantic sign pointing towards Berkeley Street above, and that was the concern that some of us had, that there might be a commemorative sign that was gigantic on top of that.
That is not the case.
Right.
We'll install a pole at the corner at street level.
Okay.
Further discussion?
Thank you very much.
Mr. Hempstead?
Yeah, I just want to back up with Majority Leader Heidi said that, there were 4 of us, not this caucus, who supported, it was a unanimous decision to do that.
Yeah,
and it really was our understanding that this was going to be a pole, like a typical pole at the end of the street. So I guess 15 of us didn't pick up on that one nuance, I guess, in the original one. But I never thought there was anything else but that going to happen. So.
Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Now it was unanimous again. Thank you for your patience.
Again.
Okay, let's see where we are. Yes, thank you for your patience again. Ms. Melendez, item 7A. Nope, that's it.
That was it.
Okay, Ms. Bowman, item 7B1.
I move item 7B1 and 7B2 together. Item 7B1 is authorize the Mayor Harry W. Rilling to execute an agreement with ETT Enterprises, Inc., doing business as ETT Environmental Services for the removal of the underground fuel storage tanks at the Fire Support Services Facility, 100 Fairfield Avenue, bid number 3551, for a sum not to exceed $34,798.95. The council noted. And then I'm going to also move item 7B2, which is authorize the Fire Chief Lawrence Riley to execute change orders on the agreement with ETT Enterprises, Inc., doing business as ETT Environmental Services for the removal of the underground fuel storage tanks at the Fire Support Services Facility, 100 Fairfield Avenue, for a sum not to exceed $2,500. Account is noted. And I just pulled this off because we didn't have a quorum at our meeting. But basically, this is for the removal of fuel tanks that are at 100 Fairfield Avenue. DEEP has told us that they need to come out. There was an issue with this actually was approved, but there was an issue with the company we chose, so we sent it out for rebid. But if anyone has any questions, the chief is here.
Okay, Ms. Bowman moved the item, spoke on the item. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carries. Ms. Bowman, item 7B3 and 4.
And I'll move these items together as well. They are related. Item 7B3, authorize the Mayor Harry W. Rilling to execute any and all documents necessary to apply for and accept grant funds from the Connecticut Department of Transportation in the amount of $44,500, with the City of Norwalk responsible for 25% of $11,125. And then item 7B4, authorize the Police Chief Thomas Hallwick to execute any and all agreements, documents, instruments, and amendments thereto as may be necessary to implement all programs through Connecticut Department of Transportation distracted driving grant pursuant to such grant funding. I'll have the deputy chief come up and explain this. It was a time-sensitive item. So,
We know that.
Thank you.
Good evening. This is part of a grant that we've applied in the past. This would be our second or third year that we're participating. It's a state grant that we applied and succeeded in getting it. The goal of the grant is to address distracted driving, high visibility. Many of you are aware, the amount of traffic accidents related to distracted driving is decreasing. Some of the statistics we pulled up, just in 2013, over 3,000 people were killed as a result of distracted driving. During that same year, over 424,000 people were injured during the crashes. It is estimated as of 2015 that 1 in every 4 crashes is directly linked to distracted driving. It's something that we take seriously. We would like to take the opportunity to participate in this grant. It gives us an opportunity to be a little bit more proactive than some teams out there to address the issue. We've been very successful in the past. Just last year, we were able to issue 889 infractions, 728 during that. Selective enforcement, which just attributed to distracted driving, and 161 additional ones, other offenses that we were able to determine because we're out there enforcing this.
Questions, discussion?
Just,
Mr. Bonifant?
just a short question. Other than like texting and driving, what other distractions are you looking for?
Sometimes we see people eating, sometimes we see people reading,
Putting on makeup.
newspapers,
Just-
variety of things.
I mean,
I've seen people
you've seen it all.
It happens.
Mascara.
People shaving,
Yeah.
or putting makeup.
Icing the cake.
You saw me with my leg up on the desk?
No names, please.
Do we have any further discussion on this?
Well, the question is raised, but
Mr. Sims?
is it actually against the law to actually eat and drive?
If it's distracting you from being, driving, yes. Yeah.
A sandwich is
It's
okay, a
causing
bowl
you
of
to,
cereal.
Eating with a
swerving.
fork and knife is a problem.
Ms. Bowman?
So my comment on this is, in the future, and and this kind of goes along with the public works item, and I'm probably sure that at some point this was something that the state was funding and fully funding, and it may be something that they, slowly take the funds away and it becomes more of a city obligation. So what I would like to see the police department do is maybe instead of, doing the ticketing campaign, is maybe we do some educational seminars around distracted driving. That'll be better for the residents so that, at least, or maybe every other year, one year you do an educational piece, and the next year, okay, well, you had the educational piece, you should have known.
Understood. I'm sorry. This is just one of many opportunities we'd like to take advantage of, and we're very involved with the city grants coordinator, Catherine, as far as other opportunities that come up. We've done DUI, we're pursuing a youth involvement grant So it's just, as many opportunities that we can participate, we'd like to take advantage of that.
Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Eloisa? That motion passes. Does anybody wishes to stand in for Mr. Igneri? Mr. Sims?
Motion to adjourn.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
Put him on the spot.
Motion to adjourn. Thank you.